SciFi Surprize Series continues with Assignment Outer Space. Alright, so if anyone watched my recent vlog, I'm sure you're anxiously waiting to hear my thoughts on this title. I have a new setup and... Alright, that seems okay. Now Assignment Outer Space is number 15 in the SciFi Surprize Series. Hi, it's Shannon. I think sometimes I forget to say my name. You know who I am, right? Anyway, Assignment Outer Space. Okay, wow. Yeah. Okay, so let's start with the facts. The protagonist is a journalist. So let's go with the facts. So it's a 1960s Italian film, which I didn't realize. I could tell it was dubbed. The dubbing was actually pretty good. It took a while for me to catch on to it, but I didn't realize it was Italian. I thought maybe it was another Russian film. And then I was kind of like, oh, this doesn't feel like it. And then I tried to look it up while I was watching it, which usually I never do, but honestly, this one was a little slow. A little slow. So I looked it up, and I kept on typing Assignment Earth, which it's not what it's called, and two, there is no film by that name. So then I thought it was this mysterious film that didn't really exist, and all I could find was this one Star Trek episode, like old school Star Trek, and I was just like, what's going on here? Anyway, so no, it's Assignment Outer Space. I figured that out, I think, the next time I start watching it, which I started watching from the beginning, because it was a couple days later, because I fell asleep several times trying to get through this one. Oh, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, but I eventually did watch the entire thing. So it is science fiction, so that's a plus. It's set in the future, and it's set in space, so that's cool. And I like films that are set in space, and it's about, it's weird, because halfway through I started to think, maybe this is some kind of message movie, which I've said that a lot, so often I think of things that are conspiracy theories, but like older films, sometimes it can be a message movie, but because you're not in the time, the message isn't relevant as relevant, and then especially if it's a film that was made in a different country, well, outside North America, because in Canada, we have a lot of American content, so I would say, when it's out of context. And then, because sometimes with this one, I was getting this feeling, like, they're saying something. There is something relevant going on here. I cannot figure out what it is. So I don't know if that was really the case, or if it was just, because it's not an adventure movie, although it does follow this journalist who goes into space. Nobody seems to really want him there. Like, he's on one ship, and then he's on another ship, and he's not really, sometimes he's documenting, which is hilarious. That's one of the things I love about old science fiction, or any science fiction, is when the tech that was futuristic at the time is now outdated, but it's set in the future, but made in the past. It's just funny. So to have someone with, like, this kind of camera that's supposed to be in the future is just really funny. And so I didn't really understand what he was doing. It's not like they read a lot of newspapers or something, so he's a journalist, but what is journalism then? So there's no context that way. And like, he did some training apparently to be able to sustain, or maybe the astronauts did, but he seemed pretty freaking adept at, like, being in space and doing stuff in space and stepping up to do stuff in space for a journalist. It's like, I don't know, maybe one of the scientists or astronauts should be doing what he was doing, but he was kind of like the hero guy, but he was out of place, so that didn't make sense. So there was lots of stuff like that, and that's the kind of contextual stuff in terms of the time, or in terms of, I don't know, something going on in Italy in 1960, that was a one way of saying something without saying something, which is often, science fiction often gets, is a way to relay, one step to removed, a political message or a social message. Or I could be completely off and it's just a rather dry, odd, melodramatic science fiction movie, which totally could be. That could be the case. I don't know. So I don't know, this one really, it didn't quite do it for me, obviously. I didn't find it that engaging. I think it was engaging because I was trying to figure it out, but I couldn't figure it out. You can't just figure something like that out. You have to go research, and I wasn't interested enough to do that. I did, like, the tone was all over the place, and it was pretty serious. Again, making me feel like it was a message movie. And sometimes it was just odd, and sometimes it was rather melodramatic. And there's some more recent science fiction films. I'm like, oh my god, that they did that in a movie. Well, actually now it would have been probably like 10 years ago or something, but I'm like, that particular thing that's going on there, that dynamic, I've seen that, and it works, and themes and, dynamics get reused in films all the time because they're based on life, and they happen in life, so it's not so much, but it would be really funny if whoever made, big Hollywood blockbuster watched Assignment Outer Space and thought, hey, I'm going to use that. That would be really funny. I don't know if that's the case. One thing, though, with this one, also visually, it's not that great. It's pretty degraded. It says it's color. Sometimes it has, like, a wash to it, but a lot of it being in outer space, and not only are they on spaceships, but they're literally in outer space. So a lot of that just pretty much feels straight up black and white, which I'm fine. I actually would have thought it might be a little nicer just to watch it in black and white. The exception, they had one character that, I don't know what they did. Like, his hair was white, and his skin looked like shiny. And again, with that, I was like, what are they trying to say? Like, is that saying something? Do people understand what it means? Did I miss something? Was it explained? Is he, like, who is he? How is he? He's so different from everyone else. So what does that mean? Or does it mean anything? Or is it a way of looking at the future and people look different and that's fine? I don't know. Like, there was, I couldn't figure that out, but it was pretty, because it was such a strong effect, and there weren't, and the effects, it was one of the more successful effects. That's a nice way to put it. I felt like it had, there was something important there. So, and then in terms of the effects, honestly, one, the sets were awesome. The interiors of the spaceship were amazing. Like, they really look good, and that guy, he really felt like he was in outer space. Not everyone, but a lot of the movement and stuff that he did was really cool that way. But the sets were really cool. And what did they call it? They call it the electronic brain. So this must have been pre-computers, because they kept on calling the computer the electronic brain, and that was really funny. It's really funny. So, yeah, but then the visuals, they were all over the place too. They really were. Like, some of them I was laughing at, without a doubt. Some of the, a lot of stuff is supposed to be, not forced perspective, but using perspective, and totally was off. Like, it just really, really was off. And it was, because it was so different, like, some of it was models, some of it felt almost like almost like animation, kinda, and then some of the other stuff, I literally didn't know how they did. I was, like, so sometimes I was like, wow, how, I do not understand what's going on. Like, he's, like, in outer space, and, like, I can't tell how they did that. So there was a couple moments like that made it worth it, because it was interesting and engaging in that way. But overall, the story was kind of, wow, all over the place, and I don't know. It didn't quite work for me. Although, when I went back and I thought, like, I wouldn't actually place this one last. I wouldn't. I would say, in terms of a science fiction not classic, but like a classic B-movie science fiction film, there's a lot that's interesting in it, and I like ones that are set in space. So, but it was just the dryness, the tonal, it was so serious. And the reporter guy's supposed to be a little more jovial and, gung-ho, and nobody cares. And then it gets very, very dramatic and very, very serious. But it was already serious, so it's like, you can't get more serious than already serious, so, I don't know. So, I don't know, it took me a long time to get through, but I'm happy I finally got through it, so time to pick the next one. Let's get on to the next. Woo! Alright. This is it. This is what it will be. Mesa of Lost Woman. Mesa of Lost Woman with Jackie Coogan. 1953, black and white. Yay! I'm actually happy for a black and white one. Whew, well, the Voyage to the Planet of the Prehistoric Women ended up being a happy surprise, so let's hope that Mesa of Lost Women also is. These are the ones I'm most leery of. Alright, I made it through. Thanks for sticking with me. Assignment Outer Space. I feel like I should give it a grade mark. I'm like, no, that's too mean. Anything I would say is too mean. Yeah, and anything I would say that would be funny would be a spoiler, so I think I'll just leave it at complete. Complete. Check mark. Red check mark. Yay. Thanks for watching.